Hong Kong was a part of China during the early 1800s. The Chinese back then were known the world over for their tea, porcelain, and silk. The demand for these products was huge, and Britain imported a lot of it. On the other hand, demand for British goods was almost non-existent in the Chinese market, which ultimately led to an imbalance in trade over the years. To counter this, the British came up with a strategy. They began to trade in opium. Opium was produced in the British colony of India and then sold to traders in China who ultimately distributed it to the Chinese mainland. The recreational use of the drug increased, and money finally began to flow back to Britain. Alarmed by the monetary outflow and the increasing number of opium addicts, Chinese officials in 1839 seized tons of opium and even placed British officials under house arrest. This led to the start of the First Opium War. Britain won the war and numerous treaties were signed between the two nations. As part of these treaties, China agreed to cede Hong Kong Island to the British Queen and even recognized Britain as the most favored nation. Tensions continued to rise between the two nations and a second war broke out in 1856. The Kowloon Peninsula was captured by the British and due to its friendly terrain was used as a training ground for British soldiers. In 1860, China surrendered. Another humiliating treaty was signed. The British demanded Kowloon, and the Chinese were forced to cede it. Over the next 30 years, Kowloon flourished. Chinese and Westerners alike flocked here to seek out their fortune. The population increased so rapidly that the city soon got overcrowded. Dirt and disease began to fill the streets, and there was fear that Kowloon would be unable to defend itself in case of a foreign invasion. As a result, the British Hong Kong government saw the urgent need to expand the colony. Leveraging their most favored status, they demanded that Kowloon be extended to enable it to better protect itself. The request was granted, and in 1899 Britain secured new territory under a 99-year lease. The area received was huge, close to 12 times the size of the initial colony. The initial colony, along with the new territory, formed the Hong Kong we know today. During the peak of the Second World War in 1941, Japanese forces invaded Hong Kong. British and Indian forces fought side by side, but were badly outnumbered, and had to surrender the city the same year. Japan took complete control of Hong Kong and established their colony here. Numerous atrocities were committed during this time. The population of this once flourishing town was now reduced to half, with many fleeing or already dead. Japan suffered a devastating defeat in 1945, and Hong Kong was promptly returned back to Britain. By 1949, the capitalist government, the Kuomintang, were overthrown and the Communist Party seized power in the mainland. Hong Kong, however, being a British colony, continued to be capitalist and remained unaffected by the change. Britain controlled the city for the next 52 years. In 1997, the 99-year lease eventually came to an end, and the time had come for Britain to say goodbye and hand over Hong Kong back to the Chinese. The People's Republic of China and the United Kingdom have agreed upon a one-country, two-system principle to ensure a smooth transition. What this means is that the socialist system of the PRC would not be practiced in Hong Kong, and Hong Kong's previous capitalist system and its way of life would remain unchanged for a period of 50 years, until 2047. Many believe that the Chinese have largely worked towards preserving the Hong Kong way of life, providing autonomy in most aspects, barring foreign relations and military defense. But in recent times, there has been unhappiness voiced on the Hong Kong side with regards to the electoral system practiced here. Protests were staged by pro-democracy advocates in 2014, demanding elections to be held by means of a universal suffrage. In the current system, a body of 1,200 individuals, who are representative of Hong Kong's interests, nominate 2 or 3 candidates for the citizens to choose from. The candidates nominated are believed to be mostly pro-Beijing in their outlook, making many in the pro-democracy camp question this. However, the pro-Beijing camp are happy with the current system and consider the protesters to be ungrateful after everything that China has done for them. In today's globalized marketplace, China moves ever closer to world powers, and Hong Kong could be the bridge between them. Hong Kong has always been more westernized of the two, and could play a pivotal role in helping China understand the world better, and also help the world understand China better, boosting economic and political relations with global powers. With 30 years to go until the complete return of Hong Kong to China, let us see how this story plays out.